There are tons of great anime series out there to enjoy. Sometimes the shows are flawless and we don't really have any complaints about them. Other times, there are moments that let us down, such as fillers, little in the way of character development, and missing plot points, just to name a few. It can be a little disappointing when these things happen, but that's just the way it goes. Check out this list we've compiled for you. Before we begin, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You'll join our notification squad and we'll be updated with all our new videos. Can you guess which feature film these emojis are hinting at? Find out shortly following the video.
Well, come on then, what are we waiting for? Oh, Nurse Joy, here I come!
Brock's departure, Pokemon. Since the world was first introduced to Pokemon, it has become the highest grossing media franchise of all time. Most notably known for the Game Boy games, trading cards, and of course, the television series which we will be talking about today. Ash Ketchum starts out as a young boy who dreams of becoming a Pokemon master. He heads out into the world to become the best trainer he can be, and of course, you gotta catch 'em all. Along his journey, as he makes his way through various Pokemon leagues, Ash befriends the Cerulean City Gym Leader Misty, and Pewter City Gym Leader and Pokemon Breeder, Brock. Brock's a great character, and is the most mature, wise, and level-headed of the main characters. It was a bit of a bummer when he left Ash and Misty. It is no secret that Brock falls for every girl he comes across, and eventually he decided he needed to leave the group to have a shot with a hot professor. Of course, there were still Pokemon battles and run-ins with the infamous Team Rocket, but the show just didn't feel the same after the ladies' man left. Tracey just couldn't live up to what Brock brought to the table.
Purgatory. Welcome to Purgatory.
The third season of Rurouni Kenshin, Wandering Samurai. Sometimes it is really hard to follow up on a series when it has a lot going for it already. This is what happened in Rurouni Kenshin after Kenshin took on Shishio Makoto and had some awesome fight scenes. Like, wicked awesome. What else is left to give when one of anime's vehement characters cross swords with a malevolent villain? Unfortunately, what we got was a whole season of nothing but filler. Super lame. The filler wouldn't have been terrible if it had actually been worth watching, but after coming off such a huge climactic season and giving us over 30 episodes that lacked in character development, conflict, or fight scenes, it is no surprise that it was cancelled. It is unfortunate that the show lost its pizzazz because the first two seasons were so great. What's not to like about the story of a samurai in feudal Japan? It is an interesting turnaround when a samurai who is trained for killing wants to turn his life around and protect people. Plus, the hero has the capability of huge mood swings that make the story that much more compelling, and there is some history behind it since it takes place in the 1870s.
Well, I better get going. I haven't been home in a few years, and I'm betting my wife won't be too happy with me.
Goku changes into a kid. Dragonball GT. Why, oh why, did Goku have to go back to being a kid? In an episode of Dragonball GT, Goku says goodbye to Mr. Popo and Dende and walks in on Emperor Pilaf and his cronies, who have summoned Shenron, the dragon that grants wishes. Pilaf only realizes who Goku is after he's told by his lackeys, and is completely surprised due to the fact that Goku meddled in his affairs before. Emperor Pilaf is frustrated that Goku is there, and ends up saying that he wishes he was a kid again so he wouldn't have to deal with him. Shenron is still idling by waiting to grant a wish, hears the request, and grants it. Popo and Dende come in and can't believe what happens. Goku, being Goku, just says that he can't believe the room got bigger. It's a pretty lame sequence and awkward that Goku turns back into a kid again. Goku may still act like a child when he's an adult, but the whole point of it just doesn't really make any sense. Maybe it's not supposed to. Did someone working on the show really like Kid Goku enough that he got tired of drawing him as an adult and needed a change of pace? Plot points. Tokyo Ghoul. Life can become pretty interesting when an unfortunate accident occurs and you transform into a half-ghoul, half-human hybrid. This is what happens to the protagonist, Ken Kaneki, in the series Tokyo Ghoul. Imagine not being able to eat human food because it will make you sick. Once you've been a human all your life, it's hard to make some changes. Being an adaptation from a manga series of the same name, most times there's going to be something to complain about. One downside of the series was that the chronological order of some of the story was changed. Another would be the fact that the character development of Kaneki happened too quickly and was left out. The anime also had Kaneki join Aogiri, the organization that tortured him so he didn't end up forming his own group. It just doesn't add up. If you were brutally tortured, would you want to turn around and join them? Probably not. In the manga, Kaneki ends up creating his own group and going after everyone in Aogiri. With that said, if you've read the manga, you may be a little disappointed with the series. And if you haven't read it, Tokyo Ghoul is a unique series if you're into dark, action-packed thrillers.
Hey, you're free, right? Good. Meet us at 2 o'clock in front of the station. Don't be late.
I didn't even have a chance to say anything.
Repetitive 8. The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. Starting in 2006, The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya follows high school students that start a club called the SOS Brigade. It is led by an eccentric girl named Haruhi Suzumiya, who is only interested in meeting aliens, time travelers, and espers. Each of the students, except a boy named Kion, are part of a group she desires to meet, and they must keep an eye on her. The ruining moment of the show comes when each character wakes up and realizes they have a major sense of deja vu. They discover that they're actually reliving the previous day. Now, this might not be too hard to handle if you confine it to just 1 or 2 episodes. However, if you turn it into a big part of the second series, it gets a little old. The show is 8 episodes and is very repetitive. The SOS Brigade eventually figures out that Haruhi has unknowingly trapped them in an infinite time loop and their summer vacation never ends. This might be cool in real life, but as viewers, you basically have to sit through 8 episodes of the same content. Unfortunately, you can't rewind time, and you may beat yourself up for watching it.
I'm home, everyone! Naruto Uzumaki!
The Fourth Great Ninja War, Naruto Shippuden. When you try to throw a whole lot of content into a show with limited amounts of time, you end up ruining something that could have been stellar. In the time of a single story arc, there are battles back-to-back with enemies that have come back from the dead, and also brand new characters which have no development whatsoever. The worst part about it all is probably the fact that the main antagonist changes numerous times. It seemed like they couldn't make up their minds, as first there was Obito, but he was really working for Madara. Then there was Black Zetsu and Kaguya. It got a little out of control. It would have been nice to keep it simpler. All that aside, Naruto is a great show with a complex story, great music, and great animation. If you haven't seen Shippuden, Naruto comes back from training with Jiraiya, who is a legendary ninja and is much more mature. You may become angry with the characters at certain points and want to bite your nails, but you'll most likely be pleased with everything else the show has to offer. It shouldn't come as a surprise, as it is one of the most popular anime out there.
I told Watari to make sure that he should erase all information in the event that something were to happen to him.
Death of L. Death Note. Death Note is a supernatural drama series revolving around an intelligent high schooler who goes on a crusade to eliminate criminals after he finds a notebook capable of killing anyone whose name is written inside of it. The battle of wits between Light and L really made this show captivating, and we get a huge view of how power can corrupt. It was a huge game of cat and mouse, and we saw contrasting views on justice. All of this comes to an end when Light manages to win the day by eliminating his greatest threat, being L. It was a pretty tragic moment. L, of course, has a backup plan, where his successors, Nier and Mello, will take over for him. They were kind of a letdown, and the show didn't feel the same after L was killed off. They weren't the worst characters, but compared to L, they just felt lackluster and didn't bring as much to the show. If you haven't heard of or seen Death Note, it is another one of those anime series that is worth watching. One of the most interesting parts of the series is the fact that the antagonist is neither a hero or anti-hero, but rather an anti-villain.
I will protect you!
Too many fillers. Bleach. It's not easy being a high schooler, especially if you're like Ichigo Kurosaki from the anime Bleach and can see ghosts and become a soul reaper. The show had some great moments, but all of the fillers that were involved take away a lot of what it had to offer. Bleach was rather infamous for creating fillers to stall for time until more canon footage was released. Bleach not only has fillers, but we get arcs that go with the fillers, which take away from the show's greater moments. Some of the fillers we see are the Bounce, Shusuke Amagi, Muramasa, and more. After all, Bleach is said to be 45% filler. It is kind of a bummer that they felt the need to create so many unneeded episodes. Most would probably like to see more battles against the Gote 13 and the Espada. They were definitely some of the best parts of the show, partly being that none of it was filler content. If you haven't seen the show before and are thinking of watching it, be warned that you may become hooked. It's one of those shows that can captivate you and make you wonder where the time has gone. ALFheim Online. Sword Art Online. Imagine if you were stuck in a virtual reality video game and the only way out is if you beat the final boss. If you were to be killed in the game, you would also die in real life. Well, that's the main premise in the anime series Sword Art Online. Sword Art gave us a lot to enjoy from a fantasy series, including the storyline, characters, vastness of the world, and the romance between the two leads, Kirito and Asuna. You would think after the two escape from the video game prison, they would take a break from gaming. But that doesn't happen thanks to ALFheim Online. The mood shifts when Asuna changes from a proud warrior into the typical damsel in distress that we've seen so many times before, and not in a good way. There's tons of flirting involved, and the whole second half of the show didn't live up to the thematic high points of the first half. If you want to see a great anime show, then be sure to check out SAO. It's quite relevant in this day and age, as the show has an in-depth look at the long-term effects of being trapped in a virtual reality. The ending of Neon Genesis Evangelion. Neon Genesis Evangelion was a groundbreaking anime series that ran from 1995 to 1996 and is widely considered a classic. If you're not familiar, the story revolves around a teenage boy named Shinji. He is recruited by his father into the mysterious organization NERV to pilot a giant mecha called Evangelion to fight against beings known as angels. In the end, the flawed protagonist, Shinji, contemplates his life continuously until his existential crisis comes to a halt, and he thanks all of the people in his life for their support. The cuts to the production are obvious, and the series as a whole is a little choppy. Put all that aside, and you have an awesome anime series. The ending can be confusing for lots of people, and part of it is so everyone can have their own opinion as to what occurred. Did you enjoy the ending, or do you think it could have been better? In the beginning of the show, we thought it was just going to be about young kids who were trained to pilot these giant robots to fight monstrous creatures, but then we get thrown for a loop and start to learn what NERV is really hiding up their sleeves. Well, that's all we have for you today, everybody. What did you think of this list? Did any stand out to you? Can you think of any that you would have liked to see included? Be sure to like and comment below and let us know your thoughts. The answer to the movie emoji quiz from earlier is... Did you get it right? From all of us here at Screen Rant, thanks for watching.